Welcome to MarcusG.tv. I'm Chef Marcus Guiliano. I'm a chef on a mission. Today's mission is voting. It's that time where election is coming up. Of course, we have the primaries right now, and then we'll have a presidential election coming up soon. And people are talking about voting, how it's their right to vote, because I have a stance where, you know what, it is my right to vote, but I may not exercise that right. And I get opposed by so many people. So I'm going to tell you how it is and how I've come to that conclusion, that why I don't vote in most presidential elections. Okay? First of all, the candidates that we're voting are hand-picked psychopaths that will do anything for money. They're corporate sponsored scumbags and psychopaths. They will take money from anyone and then have to turn around and bow down to that industry. Just like Obama. Obama said in one of his campaign speeches a couple times, we're going to label GMOs. Well, what happens when Monsanto gives you money? You can't label GMOs anymore. The nuclear industry, after Fukushima happened, okay? The nuclear industry was one of Obama's biggest supporters. He had proposed 25 new nuclear reactors in the United States. After Fukushima, that is insane to even think. There's so much better technology out there. Green technology, wind, geothermal, wave energy. Wave energy is awesome. You could put that right in the Hudson River, high tide, low tide, and you can produce energy for New York City. So all of these people are in bed with corporate sponsors. Okay, now I know Donald Trump is out there saying, you know, I'm not taking money from anybody, I'm gonna say anything, but I gotta tell you something. That's really good that he's doing that, as he's exposing these other people for who they are. Okay, I'm not saying Donald Trump is the right person here at all, but I'm saying he's exposing a system that's totally messed up. And of course, I'm sure he has an agenda of why he would want to be president. Okay, you know, maybe some of us can speculate what it is, maybe we can't. But people are out there bashing him left and right, when in reality, we should be bashing these people that are taking money and sacrificing our environment and our health and our dignity and everything. These are the people. So when you're voting for a Republican and Democrat and a corporately sponsored Republican and Democrat, you're voting for somebody who is hand chosen. Now, I would like to go in and vote for a list of 20 people. And I know some of you are going to say, well, yeah, there's many people on the ballot, Marcus. Well, I'd like to actually watch debates with all of those people. I'd like every single one of them to get a fair shot. And some people can say, well, you know, they just don't have enough money and they can't do this and they can't do that. First of all, debates, the presidential debates, these primary debates, these debates are not geared for true independent candidates. Somebody might get an independent nod here and there, but a true independent candidate does not get on there, because after Ross Perot embarrassed those other two psychopaths, and I use that term psychopaths a lot when it comes to these higher up elected officials, because that's what they are. They will sell they'll sell their soul for anything. They'll sell their mother to get a vote. So these psychopaths, Ross Perot embarrassed them, totally embarrassed them, and that wasn't on the corporate agenda. The big corporations, the industries in America did not like that. And that right there would brought a light to how messed up our political system is. So now on these debates, you don't see the candidates that really will say what the truth is and what's going on and call out. And I know Donald Trump's out there and he's blasting away a lot of this, but a true independent candidate does not have that platform. They're not allowed to have that platform, okay? The networks said no, because the networks are in bed with, they're in debt to their advertisers, and their advertisers are corporate America, who's the same people who sponsor the candidates. All these presidential candidates are handpicked. Ronald Reagan, okay? When he got the nod, they said to him, the Republicans, you're not going to get the nod unless you take Bush with you. Because the corporations knew Bush was their backup. Bush was the guy that was on the corporate agenda policy. He was the guy on the corporate agenda. And what happened? They tried to assassinate Reagan right off the bat, and that would have put Bush right in power. So he had to take Bush with him. That was the deal right from the get-go. And people just don't understand, man. You're voting for people that they've picked. You're not voting for people that we've picked. what's happened is they sponsor these few candidates who they think would do a good job for corporate America. They put them up there on these podiums. They put them up there. They narrow them down. And now all of a sudden we think we have this great process of these primaries. All those people in there we begin with were losers, okay? And we narrowed down the more losers to now we got the biggest loser. And now what we're voting for is the biggest loser. And people say, Marcus, well, it's your right to vote. And I'm going to vote for one, the best of the two evils. I've heard that so many. I'll vote for the worst, the best of the two evils, best of the two evils. So if I said, here's a gun, would you shoot yourself in the hand or the foot? Pick the best option. And then in 4 years, shoot yourself in the other foot. Because that's what you're doing. You're shooting yourself in the foot or the hand by supporting this system. This system is a messed up system. And every time you go to cast your vote for these presidential psychopaths, you're supporting a system that's messed up. And by supporting a system that's messed up, you're encouraging them to do it. No matter who you're giving your vote to, Republican or Democrat, you're encouraging the system to happen. It's because of us, because we voted and we put up with it for so long. If 40% of us doesn't vote, from what I understand, the election would be null and void. So why don't more people not vote? Because they want us to vote. They want us to think that we're in control. They want us to think that we have a true democracy. They want us to think that we the people can make a difference and we can put, vote for this and vote for that, and we the people. When in fact, we the people are voting for these hand-picked psychopaths. That's the bottom line. I want to vote for people that are real people. School teachers, firefighters, police officers. I want to vote for people that have real experience in real communities that have made big differences, that understand this. Not somebody who has bought up and gobbled other companies and outsourced jobs to China, who has a specific agenda. Not somebody who, is big in the oil industry. All these people have corporate and personal agendas. That's all that it's about. And we're supporting them. We're supporting the system. Whether you vote for Hillary, Rubio, whoever you vote for, you're supporting these people. And Hillary, of all people, I mean, it's amazing how you see some of these results of these primaries and everything. All of a sudden, they're just like totally skewed around. They're like, how did that happen? It's just because that's the reality of the system that we're in. And if I don't want to vote for it, I'm making a stance to say, you know what, my system's messed up and I'm not participating in a messed up system. I'm not going to keep going to a store that I hate and buy, I'm not going to keep participating in something that I hate. When you don't like a restaurant, you don't go there anymore, right? None of us like our political system, but we still go there to vote for these people. This is supporting them. And then all of a sudden you have all these massive campaigns starting out when these kids are young and in school. It's your right to vote. It's your right to vote. Don't waste your right. It's your right. It's your right. And then we get brainwashed. Other countries don't have this right and we're a true democracy and this and that. And if voting worked, it would be illegal. Look at Ross Perot. How many votes did he get? Look at the Electoral College, right? There's no correspondence with what we the people want and what they're going to give us. That doesn't exist. There is a buffer factor that is made for the corporations. That's the bottom line. And if you're doing that, you're voting for Walmart, you're voting for nuclear reactors, you're voting for all of this stuff, you're voting for Monsanto to come keep doing their GMOs, for Big Pharma to keep poisoning us, for the insurance companies to keep gouging us. Obamacare was not written by Obama, it was written by the insurance companies because he was in with them and he said, here's carte blanche, write your proposal, write your plan, and let's get this done. It wasn't Obama. He had nothing to do with that. They just used him as the vehicle to get it done because here's a president that's now going to get us universal health care, the Affordable Care Act, and this and that. And yet, I voted for him. He's doing great. He's doing this. He's doing that. If you don't vote, you're going to make a bigger difference than voting for somebody who's ruining America. That's the bottom line. I'm Chef Marcus Guiliano. Thanks for watching. If you like my videos, please hit like, subscribe to my channel, and definitely pass it on.